Hi book friends, this is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, we are back with another video, and this one is going to be my Retoldathon books that I want to do during this readathon. And so I decided to put a little bit more bling on to match my top, just to feel very feminine and all about retellings about princesses. And well, some of these aren't princess retellings, but we'll get into those in a minute. But this readathon was created by the Brightside Girl, and I will link her down below. But essentially this readathon runs from August the 7th through to August the 20th. And so it's 2 weeks. In addition to these 5 prompts, she also has Instagram challenges. So you would take pictures and she has prompts for each day of the week. So I have created in my journal like this really pretty princess spread. They're really, a lot of these are just stickers. I didn't actually draw anything on here, but I just put the prompts down there. And you know, I usually like to draw, but sometimes you just need an easy spread in your journal, and stickers are the way to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into it. Our first prompt is to read a fairy tale retelling. And so for that one, I'm gonna put The Merchant's Daughter by Melanie Dickerson. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and that's all I know about it. And I'm excited to read this one. I feel like you have to have a, you know, princess and retelling in these prompts. So anyway, a fairy tale, Beauty and the Beast is a fairy tale, and so that's what I picked. Number 2 is a villain backstory. So I've tried the Twisted Tale series, and I decided that I was no longer going to read those unless Jen Colanito writes one. I actually decided to put an Angela Hunt book. I put Delilah, Treacherous Beauty. This is in her A Dangerous Beauty series. This is number 3, but you don't have to read them in order. But essentially, this is the story of Delilah in the Bible. She is notorious because of her tricking Samuel into telling her the secret of his strength, which is if he cut his hair, he would lose his strength, his God-given strength, and she uses that secret to essentially betray him to the Philistines. So I figured that's a very villainous thing to do. So I have this one, and I'm curious to read this perspective. Angela Hunt, like I said, wrote the Dangerous Beauty series, and I read the first book in that series, and that is Esther. And I didn't rate it super high, but it was a book that stuck with me. But it was a lot more involved in the history of the time, which I appreciated. But with that comes like the tactics of the brutality, and it wasn't anything super explicit, but it was just enough for me to just, it was just that level of enough for me to read in. So that one was Esther. And so this one, I mean, knowing the story of Samson, he does get betrayed, and there is a scene where, you know, he has his eyes taken out from him, and I don't know if that's going to make it into the story. I don't know a lot of the Philistine tactics that are going to be used are going to be in this story, but Angela Hunt is really good at her research, and I appreciate her for that. I appreciate her spin on these characters, and so I am curious but also a little hesitant But I am curious. The cover is really pretty. Like, that's a really pretty cover, and always the back she has like a black and white photo of the person. So yeah, I'm excited to see her take on the story of Delilah. Okay, so number 3 is a book set in a castle. And so this one, I'm actually picking up number 2 in that A Dangerous Beauty series. And this is Bathsheba's story. And this is Reluctant Beauty. And again, love the cover, how really pretty, that green and the pale pink. Also, there's the back. So Bathsheba, for those who don't know the story, she is this woman who, was bathing one day. David caught sight of her and was like, I want her. And so she is brought to the castle, and essentially he sleeps with her. She is a married woman. And so she ends up finding out that she is pregnant with David's kid. And David tries to cover up this problem that he's having because he doesn't want his sin to be found out. So he sends for her husband, which her husband was off at war at the time, and he sends for him to come back home and basically tells him, hey, you should go home, and essentially hoping that he would sleep with his wife. And the soldier, he's just like, no, I would not do that because my fellow soldiers are on the field and they're not home with their wives, so I'm gonna, I'm honorable, I won't do that. And so he ends up like sleeping outside of David's castle. I remember how the story goes in the Bible, and David again is just like, no, go home, and tries to get him drunk to go and take him home. So yeah, and essentially the guy never does. And so what David ends up doing is writing to the commander of his army and sends this message with that soldier, and he's like, okay, take this to the commander. And essentially the commander reads it and says, put that guy in front of the armies, and everybody just retreats back. So essentially David sends that guy to his death. And sure enough, he dies, and David takes Bathsheba to his house and basically marries her, and that's how he kind of covers up the sin. And there's like other details going into it, like the prophet Nathan calls out David for what he has done, and David repents, and more to the story. Long-winded, but again, I'm curious to see how Angela's gonna write this story. I'm a little hesitant because I think I did see some reviews on this one about just the situation that David was very forceful with Bathsheba. I'll read it and I'll let you know what I think about it. Okay, so number 4 is read a book inspired by Greek mythology. So in a lot of the popular books right now with the Greek mythology retellings are just things that I'm not interested in and don't even want to pick up. So this one was a little hard to find. However, I did find a book, and I'm actually really surprised because I didn't know this author wrote Greek mythology. At least like he wrote a Greek mythology book, and that is C.S. Lewis, and it is Till We Have Faces. And I've tried C.S. Lewis's Narnia, the Narnia series, and I loved those, but then I tried his science fiction books, like Out of the Silent Planet and Pereindra, and I really did not enjoy those. I mean, there were some aspects I did and some I didn't, and did not, care to pick up the third in that series. But yeah, he actually wrote a Greek mythology book, and this is a retelling about Cupid. This book follows the perspective of Psyche's sister, and I don't know what the name is. I don't know what her name is, but how she is described as the uglier sister, and how she is envious of Cupid and Psyche's relationship, and it's just the book through her perspective of it. And this is going to be an interesting one. So, and I'm kind of curious to see what kind of Christian allegories he's going to put in this too, because, you know, it's kind of like marrying Greek mythology with that. So I don't know. I'm curious, but we'll see. Hopefully I can get it from my library soon, before the readathon starts. But if not, I think I can get it on ebook through the Hoopla app. Number 5 is to just read a Cinderella retelling. And a lot of the retellings that I thought of actually were Beauty and the Beast retellings. But I did remember Katie left in a comment once about how she thought I would love this book. And one of my libraries had it, and that is The Maid of Ballymaccool by Jennifer Dybel. And great cover, beautiful sunset in the back. This is going to be our first Jennifer Dybel book. And like I said, this is a Cinderella retelling. That's all I know about it. I've heard other booktubers talked about it and how much they loved it. And I think that this will be a great read. And I also hope that this could be another author that I could add to my ever-growing TBR list. Okay, so those were all 5 prompts, and I'm excited about it. I'm curious, have you heard about this readathon? Will you participate? If you have any other retellings that I may like, or if there are books here that you're just like, don't waste your time, go ahead and leave them all in the comments below. But I'm always looking at the comments. I'm always willing to put on recommendations. And check out my Instagram if you want to see the prompts for the Instagram challenges. I will try my best to keep up with that. I do start school the second week of this readathon, so I don't know how well I'll be able to keep up with that. But yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you in another video. Bye guys.